Cool, so we're rolling. Video log 7. Um, as you can see, I'm safely in my bed. It's a little late, but I'm gonna try to knock this out. Danny, I hope I got the right questions. I wasn't really clear on some of them, but we'll see how this goes. All right. So our reading this week was kind of about finding who you are and um, what type of model of multiple dimensions kind of means um, in defining those things um, for when later on down the road where you can really find out who you really are, I guess. Um, the first question that was asked was, do you agree with the model of multiple dimensions of identity? Um, I kind of went back and looked in my reading to make sure I was kind of right on this because this was a very hard thing to grasp for me. I did enjoy it once I finally figured out kind of what it was talking about, but bear with me. It says the model of multiple dimensions of identity offers a conceptual depiction of relationships among college students' socially constructed identity dimensions, recognizing that each dimension cannot be fully understood in isolation. So I kind of took this as there's so many dimensions that you can be related with, and I can't fully understand another dimension because I haven't been put in that situation or that dimension yet. Um, it says no. It also says no one dimension can understand singularly. Um, I took that as just like I was saying. I can't explain how this other dimension is because I've never been in that situation. I don't have the same construct as maybe that dimension does. Um, I also wrote down here at the center there's a core with valued personal attributes and characteristics. Um, so I feel like we all start out at the core, and these different dimensions are all around us. So it's like a big. I looked at it as almost like that's the nucleus, and all these electrons are around us as our dimensions. So we kind of look and see where they all are, but we construct to some of these dimensions, not all of them, because of who we are. It kind of we kind of go out to these dimensions, but we start at that core. Um, I think that it's a good thing that we have those attributes and characteristics because the core is what describes us at first. The core is what describes us, and then once we go out to these dimensions, that's what defines us. So it's a little bit fuzzy in between. It did say that there was a liquid motion, so maybe some of these characteristics blend in with some of these dimensions or fit right in with these dimensions, which cause it to flow and actually have a lot of gray area within it. I think that that's a good thing. I think that it kind of joins hand in hand with where we are in this identity model. Um, for the second question, I kind of got out of it. How do you treat an individual that you know doesn't know who they are? Um, I'm going to do my best to kind of answer that one. My thoughts are at first, you must know yourself before someone else knows you. Um, I think that you are the one who defines who you are. Not only just thinking, hey, I want to be this, but what characteristics, what ethics, what attributes, what do you have that actually explains you and kind of takes you and causes you to be who you are. You know, um, I wrote down this quote in the reading that I really thought was cool about it. Relationships define identity, and no process exists for negotiating conflicting relationships. So when you do go to these dimensions, I know that was in the Magolda, yeah, Magolda part of the reading. Um, he, what I got out of it was he was trying to say that these relationships do define you. So the dimensions that you do go through, you see these things happen, or you see these things going on, and you seem to fit towards that dimension or fit towards that category. So it kind of defines who you are based on your relationship towards that, and based on the relationship you have with maybe those people within that dimension or category. Um, these things can help to define you, but I don't think they truly define you. Your core values are what define you. Your that inner nucleus that we talked about earlier. I believe that's one of the big things that um, is what, like, who you are and how you see yourself. Um, and then I had one other question that you kind of somewhat asked. If you were the counselor who had a guy come to you who was trying to figure out who he was and what identity he was, what would you tell him? Um, I'll go back to your case of the Missouri football player. I'm not sure if I could handle that situation either. Um, I would sit down and really have a conversation with him and ask, when did you find this out, and how did you um, go through this process of talking to your teammates, of deciding that you wanted to um, come out and actually take a stand and actually say, "Hey, I'm openly gay." That's a big thing to say, especially in professional sports. The NFL, that's the first one ever to come out and say, "Be openly gay." So it is a big deal. But I think I would actually sit down and encourage that athlete. Um, actually give him an encouraging experience going into the field and going to see that type of stuff. I think that he may have a rough time to start out, but it will be good in the end. It will be a very humbling experience for him. But I think this multiple dimensions of identity model, I think it could really help him, because if he's going into a different dimension now. He's going to be sectionalized with professional athletes as well as um, a homosexual male. So he's going to have two dimensions, and one dimension may not be able to see the other, but he's still got that gray area in between that he's at. So he's one of both. And it kind of reaches back to those core values and what he believes in and what he actually sees. So I think that if he could see this model and see, oh, well, I need to find a way to adapt these and hold on to these and blend them in with my core, then I'll know exactly who I am and what I stand for and what I want. So this was my video log. I hope it helped. I tried to do what I could. I think the um, questions ended up getting answered to the best of my ability, but I will see y'all next week. Thanks.